Hello and welcome to another coaching video, and in this one we have an Emerald Graves versus an Emerald Kha'Zix. Now, things get interesting in this MMR range because basically you've got some low diamond remnants, you still have some, obviously most of platinum, but you are lacking these sort of plat 4s from yes to seasons, as most of those are still like in the high plat range, the new plat range. So Emerald is still kind of finding itself a little bit. You've got this combination of knowledge bases, basically old hats, people who've been in this MMR for a while, and newer players like this Graves, level 160 or whatever, so not the, most experienced play in terms of level that we've seen in these videos, but it's always good to have a nice see and, have a look at which champions are great on newer players and what works best in Emerald. So basically we have here Qiyana versus Vladimir. We have the LeBlanc support, and I think most of you would be noticing that at this particular stage. Really, not an OP pick by any stretch of the imagination, but a good LeBlanc can execute this to perfection, especially against the Misfortune Janna lane, and especially as she gets fed. So our Graves is going to do a red side quadrant, look to go to the mid lane. Vladimir at level 2, which means no Sanguine Pool. Now he will have it obviously plus Ghost plus Flash. How does he use it? He decides to go all the way in against the Qiyana, thinking he can get the kill, and he can. Well played by the Vlad. So that beckons a question from a later perspective. Should I run or should I turn? And that'll depend if you know your champion. So in Emerald, you will have a lot of junglers, and I guess this is useful for junglers as well. Woo! Look at this spicy pick here. Look at what he's doing right now. You'll have a lot of junglers in this particular situation who might run away from picks. And even I had a situation last night, I'm playing, I'm fighting, I go gank, I run away with 2-3 HP. And now what a lot of people would say is, hey, that's lucky. It's not lucky. When you know how you can turn situations when you have mastery in your champion, that's a very, in Emerald you start to see that. However, what still lacks, even if you do have that, is of course awareness of knowledge. So let's see what the Kha'Zix is going to do against the Graves here. Hello, sir, go for the burst combination. Obviously the plant should have been removed in the first place. And I don't know why. You see, again, execution, right? If you want help implementing this information into your own game, I have a free jungle improvement resource and a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching, coaching VOD libraries, weekly coaching classes, Q&As, patch note rundowns, private high elo streams, as well as a private jungle Discord. I've been the go-to jungle YouTuber since 2017. I've coached thousands of clients. I'm a qualified teacher with 15 years experience. I know how to make a course, and I know how to make junglers convert from low elo to gold to emerald to diamond to master plus. If you want to climb faster than anybody you know, jungle diff every game you play, head to virkayu.gg. Guy's full sequencing upside sees this occur, rotates to see if he can do something. There's nothing he can do, so he sets a trap for the Graves. Take this away. Make the Graves think that you're on his blue right now, right? Misdirection of strategy, because as soon as the guy's going to come in here with Dark Harvest, you're not going to have the damage to kill him. Not at all. So we go for this. Okay, we'll ignore the mechanics here of perhaps stacking our auto WQ and obviously getting the most burst damage out in short range of time, using our passive proc to get the slow, and then stacking with W later. Doesn't really matter. The point is you don't have kill threat in that particular situation, then the Graves can flash, the Graves can E, and the Graves can use the plant to get away. Now, the LeBlanc has actually decided to show up, which is a good roam. The Graves basically is doing what we all know he should not do at this particular stage, which is leave. This sucks. This is tragic. Leave. Because what else are you going to do as the Graves here, right? You're forced to flash out, you have to dash out, the Kha'Zix could trail you, but obviously the Qiyana, who died, is going to be coming back in from base. Now, the Graves goes back in here, the LeBlanc is the random occurrence showing up, right? And we would think in this particular case, hey, we've got the Silas, we've got the Qiyana coming from base, we're here as well. In theory, the Kha'Zix is by himself, and we have seen, and I promoted, when I promoted my website, originally a clip of a Rengar dying in this situation, right? But when you have the LeBlanc show up, and the Graves saw the LeBlanc show up, you can't just, you can't just go back in, right? And again, the Janna's rotating over, the Qiyana's here, but the Silas isn't rotating. So even though you should and could maybe have this assistance, is it worth whatever's going to occur right now? No, because you don't want to die. So, I get it. I get it. I really do. Help team, please. But let's see what happens here. In the end, we force huge rotations. Flash from the chains of destiny, decides to go back in and die for some particular reason, giving the Silas a double kill, which shows the Silas really, like, if you just rotated earlier, homie, we'd actually have some good stuff to do. The Alawi flashes over, the Silas flashes over, the Janna flashes over, the Graves is respawned again, so he's going to get a kill back again. The Janna kills the Vladimir. Who wins in the end? Not us, because we had to witness that. Well then, so a couple things that we can learn from this scenario. Hold on, I have to think a little bit. From Graves', it's all coin flip. From Graves' perspective, right? If you just take your wolves and then see, look, if Silas rotates, if Kiana's coming, then hey, let's go, right? Yes, 100%. If Silas doesn't rotate, it's not worth dying. Because what could happen is if you die here and Kha'Zix gets a blue and just leaves because your mid laner stays and Silas stays, you just die and he gets a kill, he gets blue, he gets to run away, right? That's what you think would happen. Unfortunately, they only come later. The Silas rotates later, and everything just happens after that is results-based. And the Graves now goes back to the top side because of this fight and gets 2-on-1 from the situation. He should not have gotten 2-on-1 from the situation. I think we can all agree that at worst, he dies, Kha'Zix gets a kill in blue, and he leaves, right? So the stretched out fight is a bit of a problem. Anyway, LeBlanc goes back to the bottom lane. You all know my thoughts on this. It's very easy to be stubborn and say, hey, you know, I'm going to fight this blue because Silas, you should rotate, Kiana should rotate, why is LeBlanc here, Janna? You know, you can be a stubborn ass about it as well, but it's not going to help you win games, right? Unless you know how to carry from that and understand how to kind of thrive from the chaos. And in the meantime, the Kha'Zix is able to snack away his red. For some reason, thinks he needs to check the scuttle. Like, that's all gone. This is a waste of time, waste of time, waste of time. You could argue there is a school of thought where you would just take the bottom scuttle away. But I think here, what's interesting is we can do red Krugs Raptors. We can pass downside. We know the guy's most likely going to be hitting this. We want to shadow this for a counter gank, right? That's exactly what we want to do in this particular case, or occasion, if you want to fuse the words. But I like what the Graves does. He doesn't go for the Krugs. He knows that the Kha'Zix is going to be obsessed with taking the top side, those top side camps, and so he has priority and tempo over him to try and get some kills here on the bottom lane. Jinx obviously has things that are going to be coming up. Taking a tower shot is completely unnecessary. There's no reason for Flash and Heal to be burned. Just pull the plug on that kill. That's not one of the situations where you want to push the limitations. This is a situation where you just kill and you shove, right? Miss Fortune has 1200 in pocket. Shove with her, because Kha'Zix will shove. Now, it is warded, but I like the idea here of just group shoving from a jungler's perspective, even if it's not always the best for the laners. In this case, I think it would have been anyway, but it just gives you that juice, that experience to catch up, and puts your lane in a good position to go back to base, which means you take away the option for the Kha'Zix to do anything here, right? And we want to avoid this right now, because you want to base as Graves, right? You want to go topside, you've got Rebuff coming up, you now have 1500 pocket, you want to reset. You don't want to stick around. But I've seen a lot of bot laners here, just like that. And if we just shove with them, is much better. Because they'll go back to base safe. The wave's pushed in, no one can afford to kind of run and tower dive you, and now you're going to deny all of the CS from the red team's perspective. You're denying the blue side. It's a lot of CS, and Kha'Zix just gets to fall back. See, this is the guy's problem, though, right? We're going back because we had 1500, but we didn't have a very easy option afterwards. The easy option was to go back to the top side, dive it. You got Kha'Zix's topside camps not respawning because he had a delayed sequencing. So you're probably looking just to do your Grump down, but your Grump wasn't yet going to spawn. So Graves' sequencing, because of the random invade and the death that he took here, is compromised. His econ per minute is compromised. Janna now dies. Miss Fortune shows back up, so... Please. 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 So you're seeing, like, watching everything in slow motion. In the meantime, Graves decided to go to the mid lane on a level 6 Vladimir, while his Kiana did not have 6, had lower, less than 100% HP, has no mana, and now is sharing XP with him in a scenario where she really just wants to get 6 as soon as possible. Just to have maybe enough mana to actually activate this should the Vlad do stuff. This is going to take 100 mana, she currently has 41 mana, so she's not even going to be able to get it off. Why are we here as Graves? All of the Graves' indecision now and like lack of options is because he died here. No matter what happens afterwards, no matter whatever kills he got afterwards. That's why. Because he ended up sequencing down, getting a kill, basing, right? Having nothing up, no gankable line, so he just went to the red. Guess I go to the red, guys. Right? Vlad ults, tries to do the mega sucky. Kiana does obviously hit level 6, now goes all the way in, forces the flash out. Again, I don't want to results-based it. Now we know Kha'Zix is down on the bottom side. Flash burned. This is not a good game. And I guess if you're less than Emerald and lower than Emerald and you're looking at this, that's the lesson. The thing that gets you to Emerald a lot of the time, you already know, you just don't do consistently. And when you watch a few Emerald games, because this isn't representative, I will say, you see that they also don't do it as consistently as Diamond players. They're just inconsistent. These games, these reads, the randomness, it still throws them. Always a tough gank. The Silas is fed. Maybe we could do something in this particular case, but everything is thrown off. The sequencing is thrown off. The tempo is thrown off. All because of those early invades and deaths, and the LeBlanc, again, is controlling the game at this particular point. Kha'Zix ganks Misfortune in the bottom lane as we watch this. Which, again, what's the guy been doing since he showed up mid lane? Let's watch this as well. Always interesting to see both perspectives. Goes back down to the RNG scuttle, we know that. Knows the Graves is going to the top side most likely. Decides he probably wants to do the dragon, but then sees bottom lane here and says, hey, maybe we can do something about this. Is very, very, very patient about it. She pushes up. The zap misses. Ease the wall just to make sure we get it. There you go. Nice and smooth. No reason to overcomplicate it. Just hit all your spells in sequential order. But I like the fact that he used to eat a cut and then go in. Obviously, you can use your W first if you're afraid they're going to run. Misfortune sat still, so there you go. Graves obviously sees that and takes this, which is what's expected. Could have done something about that, though. See how it works? Why would you Q outward instead of against the... Never mind. Q into wall in that case. Shorten the time frame. Jinx is ulting. Boom! Pointless ult. Absolutely pointless ult. Graves is now basically saying, hey, can we kill the LeBlanc? She's level 5. Nice. Full committal. You what he was doing there. Now we get to activate the Herald. Now, do we want to activate the Herald here? Yes and no. Yes, because we just want the cash infusion, because the game feels a little out of hand at this stage. But we know Kha'Zix spent so much eternal time on the bottom side, he could be coming to the top side. You don't know this for certain. It's a feeling, it's a tracking, it's like, you know, if you look at it from the vision perspective, right? Where do we see Kha'Zix get the kills here? You know, you see it here, from Graves' perspective. Now you know the guy could go ahead and do the dragon. And I think one could almost say the Kha'Zix should go ahead and do the dragon. And we probably expect him to do that. And then reset and come topside. So when the dragon doesn't ding taken, now you're thinking, okay, well look, if the dragon's not taken, then the guy reset. His red's coming up, he could come topside. So, you know, the Herald here is nice and so on, but again, like we have 1700 pocket, 1700 gold in pocket. What was Kha'Zix doing? There we go. Out of base, fresh, making a trap play. This is a good play by the Kha'Zix. I mean, they're not mechanically always, but I like the decision. You know why I like the decision? Because, and I'm sorry to go back again, but this is interesting stuff from a back and forth perspective. The Kha'Zix now doesn't take the dragon, so Graves must be going in his mind. Coming for this? Janna's here. Just killed the LeBlanc. He didn't take this. Where is he? And now if you apply the two-decision jungle rule, what you think he should be doing with what he could do that's random, right? Boom, boom, up on top. I would be worried he's here now. Because you've stayed out so long, because you have no mana and no HP, there's a possibility distinctly that he could go ahead and take your blue, right? So what happens is he hits this plant here, okay, to see the blues up. He doesn't need to. This hits where Janna is, so we kind of know what's happening. But he goes for it anyway. Again, leave. But the Kha'Zix, good use of knowing the Graves was going to greed. I like that. I like that a lot. Basically, I was at a similar situation the other day, where I usually would do smart clears to avoid shakers and things like this, but the guy actually did a weird thing. We ended up showing up later, and my reverse clear worked fine, right? So I went red, blue, Grumpet is going down. The shaker did his red side quadrant to go here. I guess it wasn't so weird. But I was pulling down, he just saw me. Just clipped the vision of each other. It was hugely interesting because he pressed tab. So I had red, blue, Grump, right? I had 12 CS and double buffs. So he knew at this stage, okay, the guy's reverse clearing. So I said to myself out loud, I went down this way. I should give up the wolves, and then I'm going to go to the raptors, and I can do Krugs, and I can decide if I want to gank or do scuttle or whatever, right? And then I thought, if the shaker reads me properly, he should know I'm going to greed for the wolves here, and then come and kill me. And I said, I won't even be upset, I'll be happy. Teacher mentality. So I decided to greed for the wolves and thought, look, if he doesn't greed for it, as he should, I get away for it. Guess what? Started the wolves, waited, Qs over the wall, smites it, and I have to run away. Almost died. But he got my wolf camp. And I was honestly like, good job. That's exactly the kind of pressure you need. So the same thing from the Kha'Zix here. Look, I didn't do the dragon. Should have, but didn't. Decided to rotate to protect topside. see the Graves running away, know he's low mana, know he has a lot of gold, know I have the gold reset on him, let me invade his blue, which I know is available. Nice play. You follow that? That kind of aggression, strategic aggression, is what makes and breaks your games. Now, he runs across mid lane in vision, because LeBlanc is on the top side, and decides, hey, I don't need my support, I should just do the dragon. And hopefully I can do it before Graves shows up again. Thing is, LeBlanc's here with Alawi fighting the side as 2v1, so blue team technically has the right numbers to do something, but Kiana's 0 and 4, out of the game. Vlad has pressure. Jinx has prior 2v1. So, while I'm not an advocate for this kind of ridiculous dragon take, there it goes. Gameplay channel always hits. Sorry, coaching channel always hits. That's hilarious. Gameplay channel with the high lows, as you know at this point, never hits. Coaching channel, always a big zap. Shout out to P3 from the Discord, who always basically comes and chats and says, hey, see? Coaching channel strikes again, global ultimate. Yeah. So, I mean, pathing wise, what are we looking at, in terms of IQ and efficiency? Not a lot of good stuff. Too janky, not pieced together nicely, but in terms of, hey, look at the map, let's see what we can do. We do the nice EQ there. We have our ult activation, which will give us another unseen passive proc threat, which we don't need because Elon get a range on the claws of the Q, so we'll get that kill. We'll take that as well. It's just, there's some good moments, right? From the Kha'Zix perspective, there's some good moments from the Grazer's perspective. There's just no total picture, and I think once you fix that total picture, you end up winning games. And I looked at this guy's match history, and it's not very good. A lot of deaths, low KPs. I had a few replays that I was going to use. He's just too aggressive, And you can see it here with this invade early, and it compromises his sequencing. So now he's forced to go down, because he has to. He has to go back to base level 5. No grump, no dive, red buff coming out, 1500 in pocket. It's just too much. There's too much variance in his own game that ends up causing him to basically have a, well, now what do I do moment. And that's the problem. Whenever you have a now what do I do moment in the jungle, you made a mistake. Always. There should always be a clear option. Either reactive pathing to the enemy jungler, or some tempo control pathing, or like, hey, he's doing Herald, I can do Dragon, or hey, he's moving down here, I can invade his blue and kill him, like the Kha'Zix had. But if you're truly in a situation where there's no camps, no ganks, and now your focus is split, do I go top side or bottom side? I have no idea. Something went wrong. Aggression-wise, mechanically, it doesn't really matter, because you can make great decisions mechanically and still ruin it. Kha'Zix shows up here, Dustwood now does take, oof, here we go. Flash is good. Flash is good. Gets away from the Kha'Zix, who didn't have smite, unfortunately. That's where it's like, if you want to rotate to the scenarios and you want to smite the camp to quickly rotate, should you not? Risk assessment. Always risk assessment. But Graves gets something back there. 4-2-2. We'll take it. Okay. Stabilizing at 13 minutes. Let's see how we can elevate this game. Vladimir is hugely fed. The Graves' gank timings were not the best, but there was some good stuff. Nice dive here. Nice gank here. I liked it. I liked it. Solid. Kha'Zix comes out of base, does Wolves, blue, into Gromp. We do have vision of that from the blue team's perspective. If you're the red team Kha'Zix here, you should know that if people are in your jungle, they probably have vision. Graves shows up here on the pushing bottom lane. Heal is burned. We see the LeBlanc chains of Destiny hitting. His ult is not quite available, and Jinx is really fed at this point. Like, she's level 10 because of the solo XP. We're level 8. So if you're ever down 2 levels to an ADC, the question has to be, what is going on in this game? And 2, what the hell did I do wrong? Because that should never happen. Disrespect. Disrespect. Jinx gets a turret. Jinx is fed from this. When's her ultimate up? 25. Oof, yeah, that increase was pretty big. Hey, and now we take some of this. The biggest thing I can say for the Graves and the Kha'Zix in general that I want you to be mindful of. Kill conversion ratio, right? Get kills, take objectives. Now, we did get the dragon anyway, but there's no guarantee of that, right? So there could be a lot of results-based thinking in this coaching. If you were to say, the Graves ended up 2-1-2 after that. Well, you couldn't have done any of that was going to happen. I mean, it shouldn't have. Kha'Zix's case, you should not have been able to kill him on the blue and then walk all the way across into the dragon for free. When you have 2 people top lane against 1 top lane, like, that's ridiculous, shouldn't happen. So do keep in mind, you know, to analyze a decision in the moment, to record your thoughts, record live gameplay of what you're thinking maybe, stream to yourself as it were, really understand what you're thinking. The fact that yeah, Kha'Zix is not a fun champion. Gets away with little assassins like Rengar, Kha'Zix, and Liu Kang can be just a little obnoxious in these kinds of games. LeBlanc is here again, wards it up. I love what LeBlanc's doing. Like it's 3-4-4. It's not extraordinary, but I love the map pressure. It's forcing a lot of issues. Now the Graves walking, his pathing is weird. You know, we see this. There's a zap here. I mean, he's telegraphed where he is. No respect for the map at all. Kha'Zix obviously is going to be showing up. And at this point, you can't kill the enemy support or the ADC. Like, they're so far ahead. Level 11 Jinx. This is a juice. Kha'Zix pressure bot lane. Way more than the Graves pressure. Giving you results. And it actually looks like a bit of a runaway at this point. So, you know, we can jump forward. They get the dragon here as well as the herald. Let's just sprint through it to see how we go, because I like to make sure it's at least positive. But, you know, after so many games, you know, covering the ultimate mid-game guide on the main channel linked below, I prefer to reference that rather than repeat myself 18,000 times every video. So, mid-game stuff linked below, but we can always look at the specifics of the games if it's close. In this case, it doesn't look to be very close. You know, you got the Vlad split pushing. You just want to make sure you're not dying. You're getting your own stuff as much as possible. Kha'Zix gets a bit of an ego and goes for this. Obviously, Janna does stuff, so we get the kill back. LeBlanc then goes, oof, oh, I thought she was going to for a second. Count is a big issue, but I do think, you know, the Graves early gank was great, but the Vlad won his own lane with that, right? You have to give credit to the Vlad. Like, I know it's easy to insult people in your team and everything like that, but, you know, you gotta give credit to the Vlad for turning that. 2v1 still gets a kill, that's worth for him 100%. And the LeBlanc roamed, and the Graves did not take as much as he could have. No face check at LeBlanc. And again, what's the biggest thing I tell you as Graves players? What's the biggest thing I've been telling you? Hey, I know she's in the brush. I mean, where did he use the smoke screen? Right? Let's have a look. 17 seconds. It's so big. So obviously he used it on the Kha'Zix, but you've got to listen to that 21-second cooldown. Wait, chill. You know she's in the brush. You can't just face check it. You know she's just going to hit you with the ult. You got to wait for the smoke screen. You have to. Have to. Cut the wave if you want. Wait for Silas. Join Silas. Just wait for the smoke screen. Play around your cooldowns. Can anyone kill Vlad at this point? That's the question we have. Red is up, most likely losing it. Herald is activated. Jinx is going to go and solo all of this, I think. Yep. Guy cuts the wave. That's the thing I got from this Graves. In the games I scoured. Way too many clumsy plays. Lack of high-risk assessment. In that, you know, he did it. Only high-risk assessment. And yeah, you're seeing it, right? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why die here? Why die here? Why die in the majority of cases that he died? He dies way too much in silly situations, over chasing or under chasing, or not doing the calculations on the numbers advantages. He doesn't counter jungle as much as he can. He counter jungles when he shouldn't. His vision control is astronomically shit. No control wards, only 12 vision score in 20 minutes. You know, not that the Kha'Zix is much better, but like, he's going aggressive in situations where he shouldn't be because he's behind. He needs to focus on camps and split pushing and getting that closing that gold lead, things like this, right? So just a lack of fundamentals, really. A lack of rigid fundamentals. The guy's got a weird shooting form, and he makes a few shots and thinks it's fine instead of breaking it down and fixing it properly. Kha'Zix is in the back line, does die. Graves is on the side, the Lowy showing up. Graves should be following his team and not waiting for the Lowy. In the meantime, the Vlad is just split pushing. And I played with a challenge of Vlad, a friend, in Flex Q a little bit. And sometimes it was very annoying, but he would do this exact shit. You're stuck 4v5 in these fights, and he's just farming, and scaling, and chilling. And then you're like, please help us. He's like, I come when I'm ready. Then he shows up, ults, and gets a quadra kill, and like, oh, that was great. That was very fun. Thank you so much. Same kind of vibes from this Vlad, but obviously, in solo queue, this is what you want, right, if you're the Vladimir. Not to die in the situation. Like, you want to make sure you're killing people, which we are, obviously, and the Silas is trying to go in here. We'll look at the gold amounts in a second. He should eventually die. There we go. 10,500 on the Vlad, and the Silas has 9,600. So he's a lot closer to the Vlad than anybody else. And Graves does have 9.1k gold, but the Kha'Zix also has 9.1k gold. And as always in Emerald, the goal is to have more gold. Now, Jinx is super duper fed, level 14, which is, I think, the bigger issue. She has 10. I love it. Love it. This is what I'm saying with the LeBlanc. But basically, yeah, I don't think there's I hate to skip like that much stuff, but really it's just your stereotypical YouTube stomp, and you've got all of League content to watch that kind of stuff. Not a lot of EDU focus, but this was a chaotic game. If someone came to me with a coaching session in this, we would spend a lot of time as Graves or as Kha'Zix on the first 12, all of our time almost on the 12 to 50 minutes. First 12 to 50 minutes. Break down, deconstruct that pathing, make sure that the flow of the game and the reads are just 2, 3, 4 steps above where they are, because this was chaos. But as always, I do hope you learned a little bit of something. And Virkayu.gg for your courses, coaching, special community, private Discord, and I'll see you in the next one, which hopefully will be a bit more orderly.